Senator McCain, ladies and gentlemen, being a parliamentarian myself, I know that finally when the chamber summons, we have no choice but to obey. So I will be short. Firstly, I'd like to thank the IRI for the support they have extended here, because it was, as I recall, 10 years ago that I visited the IRI, and I got confused because I think the location used to be just a block down from here. When the idea occurred as to putting forward these speeches together, it was a source of confusion to me, because yet another collection of speeches by yet another politician, would it make any sense? And it was your inspiration, in a way, Senator, that made me decide that it should be done, because I've been an avid follower of your politics, an avid reader of everything that has been written about you. And the approach of straight talk, calling it what it is, that is what motivated me, even in my own political career. So when I was encouraged to put it together, an eminent Sri Lankan civil servant was kind enough to help me to put the speeches together. I was wondering what was the final vision here. And in a way, when I began politics, the question I asked myself was what had gone wrong in Sri Lanka. Because for nearly 50 years, if you look at our own political development, 50 years ago, or just thereabouts when we achieved our independence, we were one of the most advanced countries in Asia. Our per capita income was close to that of South Korea and of Taiwan. 50 years on, we have reached the bottom of the scale. The question was what had gone wrong. It couldn't be the people, because if you look at Sri Lankans, I see many Sri Lankans here who are doing well in Washington. But the moment our people go back to Sri Lanka, eat our food, drink the water we drink there, something happens to us. And we begin to lose our ability to perform. So it was with that in mind that I started to ask questions. And in my political campaigns themselves, I tried to conduct them as dialogues, asking people, why is it? What has happened to us? Some years ago, I had occasion to meet Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. I inquired from him, what was it that he was able to do for Malaysia, to take Malaysia forward as he did? And his answer was, I only did one thing. That was, I gave the Malaysian people confidence in their abilities and in their skills. And I think that is what is missing in Sri Lanka. And Senator McCain, I think you have sought to ask similar questions in the US context. So therefore, this was the idea behind the book, to put some of the speeches that I had made over the past 3 years on different topics, whether it is to do with economic reform, where we try to ask the hard questions. Are there shortcuts to economic development? The answer is clearly no. But do we as politicians have courage to say that directly and to say that development is a long road? The answer to that is also no, because we as politicians generally don't do that. We talk about shortcuts, quick ways of developing. Then in the case of the development when it comes to subsidies, the fact that we have to rationalize our subsidies, the fact that we have to restructure our economies. These issues, we have tried to look at these issues straight, and that was the idea behind the book. Then there are some areas to dealing with issues of democracy. The fact that we have made a mockery in some case of democracy. Senator McCain quoted the example of the Constitution. We keep changing constitutions every 3 years. I think we have several former ambassadors who have served in Sri Lanka who know very well how we tend to move on that. So the idea was to ask some candid questions and hopefully get some answers to that. Even the transformation of the army, I have tried to ask some questions in it. So I mean, I'm not saying that this is going to be a bestseller, because the answer is no. But the idea is to put some thoughts forward. Lastly, the title of the book. Some people ask me, how did I come by the title? A warm heart, a cool head, and a deep breath. Actually, the title evolved when a couple of years ago, I think Kim Dae-jung, the then president of South Korea, was making his first visit to North Korea. And he was asked, how can you go out there? How can you deal with the North Koreans? And he said, I go with a warm heart and a cool head. And that's what gave me the first two sections of that. Then when I started the peace process, and the Prime Minister sent me to India to have some discussions there, a senior minister, I mentioned this to him, and a senior minister there said, I hope you add a deep breath to that as well, because you will need that. So hence the title of the book. thank you again for this opportunity, and I appreciate very much that you have provided this opportunity for me. Thank you.